Today, we're going to be uncovering the 5 pillars to building your multi-million dollar business. This is an exciting topic for you who are an entrepreneur or want to become one. These are 5 pillars that I believe are crucial for you to build a happy, healthy, wealthy life. These principles are based on natural law, and they're based around the laws of your being, the laws of your mind. And so the more you adjust your way of thinking and your being to match these principles, the more growth you'll find happen in your life naturally and effortlessly. And I think that's what it's about. Nobody, I believe, here is going to get to the end of the road wishing that they had worked more and that they had worked harder and that they ran faster for a long period of time. I think most of us get to the end of the road and we wonder why we didn't do more of the things we really wanted to do with the people we really wanted to do it with. I think that's also some of the reasons why most people want to start their own thing, maybe, or be part of a growth-oriented team where people are working alongside each other to create great wealth and great success. So what we have to recognize is that your success is 95% mindset and 5% strategy. And you can hear that, you can understand it, but are you actually living it? These principles, these exact 5 things that I will reveal to you today, enabled me to go from zero, literally, from broke, sick, and unhappy to creating a business that has, in a short period of time, generated over $10 million. And today, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy on all levels, but that is not by accident. You see, you can be wealthy, but not happy. You can be happy, but not wealthy. You can also be healthy, but not wealthy. So you see, most people are either one of the three. I believe your birthright is to be happy, healthy, and wealthy at the same time. And all three combined leads to a happy, long, wonderful life where you're giving, you're thriving, you're growing, and you have a wonderful energy frequency around you. It's not hard anymore. It's not striving anymore. You don't need to anymore. You do the things you do because you want to, because it makes you feel good. And as you work on you, the business grows. I believe that's a birthright for everybody. Let's make sure today that you integrate all these 5 steps that will enable you to live a happy, a healthy, and a wealthy life. I believe if you are a business owner, you started your journey because you wanted freedom, but you're stuck now. You find yourself stuck in a prison of your own manufacturer. Maybe it's your business that runs you. Maybe you feel like you're short-changed yourself. Maybe you feel like things aren't moving along as you would have liked, and maybe you have compromised health and happiness for wealth. Maybe you only looked at the revenue and the money, and as a result, you lost yourself in the process. Maybe you compromised on either one of these that makes you feel unfulfilled at this point in time. And that's all right. If you're recognizing it, that's awareness. That means there's space for course correction. And that's what we're hopefully going to do together today. So the first pillar is to realize that you have to work from a higher value frequency in the world. What does that mean? So I believe there's 5 levels to the value that we are providing. The lowest is implementation and the highest is imagination. So as an example, in my building, there's guys downstairs that wash our cars, and my cars, it gets washed maybe like twice a month, and they implement a piece of work and they're being paid to wash the car. It's hard work, especially in the summer. It's very hot, very humid. And not too long ago, I met a guy on the rooftop. He was watching the sunset as I was, and I asked him, what do you do? And he's a commercial real estate investor. And in about an hour, we had a conversation back and forth, and he took the phone a few times. In that hour, he had started multiple businesses through his attorney and through his team. And that made me realize, he's working with imagination. He's using his funds and his ideas to generate more wealth. Very little physical, much more around ideas. And then he has a team to help execute on those ideas. So the lowest value ladder is implementation. The very highest is imagination. And one of the biggest obstacles for a lot of people is that they have subjectively integrated an idea that says time equals money. Time is money. That is the biggest, fattest, most dangerous lie you can ever accept as a business owner. Time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money will ever be. So because we've integrated that, it causes us as business owners to put an equal sign between time and money. So we believe that the faster we run, the harder we work, the more we'll earn. And that's not true. We're just running to the grave a little faster. That makes no sense. But you had a job once, and your parents had a job probably. And so we learned to create an equal mark between time and money. And then we start a business, we become an entrepreneur, but we never change the belief system. We never work from a higher value ladder. And so you need to go from implementation to communication, to imagination, and that's where your quantum leap will start to take place. And that enabled me to go from $40,000 a year, that is the most I had ever earned at the time when I met Bob Proctor. 11 months later, he told me, if you do exactly as I'm telling you, Anders, you can have everything you want. I did not believe that, but I believed he believed it. And 11 months later, I had earned $750,000. That's a quantum leap in 11 months. Then we went from $1 million a year to $1 million a month. So you can see I've done that multiple times, collapsed time frames, not by working harder, by working from a higher level of value. Does that make sense? That's the first key. So the second key here to really creating a quantum leap is to have a wants goal. Like I have done, 10xing my revenue multiple times. You should make sure you have a quantum leap goal for your business and your life. There's no inspiration in going for a needs goal. You hear people say that all the time. I just need to earn this so I can step out of my job, or I just need to earn that so that we can. There's no inspiration there. There's no personal growth there. And that means the odds of you actually reaching those goals are much smaller than if you went for a wants goal. Something Bob taught me, I remember the first time we talked and he said, what do you really want, Anders? I was like, I just want to earn $50,000 so I can pay off my debt. And he goes, that's not a good goal. That's a needs goal. There's no inspiration there. And he was right. So when I turned 50,000 from a goal to 750,000, everything started to switch because I was forced to think from a different set of values. I was forced to think from a completely different place. That's the second key to really making sure that you're building a sound foundation to grow from. And so the third key here is your self-image. You cannot outperform it, but you can change it. And your self-image is your emotional conception of you. It was formed through your past experiences, your trials and your tribulations, your successes and your losses, your failures and your breakthroughs. It was formed from all of that. And so your results today are a concussion of all of that. It was considered the biggest psychological breakthrough back in the 60s when Maxwell Maltz came up with that concept. There's a reason why only 20% of entrepreneurs survive the first year and why up to 50% close down after the next 5. It's not strategy, it's their mindset. We had a client in 2020, his whole industry was shut down, like maybe yours was too. And he said to me, Anders, this year is going to be the best year I've had in 25 years. You know, he could tell me because I know he knew that I understood where he was coming from. But if he had said that to people around him, they would have thought he was right out of his mind. How can you say that? The whole industry is closed down. How can you say that this year is going to be the best year in 25 years? Well, he made the decision that it was going to be. He built his self-image. He did not let present results control him. He did not let the past government regulations control him. He controlled him. Guess what? Before the end of that year, he had created and produced the best results he's ever had in 25 years. He was the first business in his industry to reopen on a global scale. How did that happen? Self-image, emotional conception. He owned a different value system. He owned a different set of beliefs about himself and what he was worth. Most business owners struggle with that. You can never outperform your self-image. It follows you around like a shadow. It's the thought in the back of your head. I wonder what they're thinking. Am I good enough? And all that. That is what we have to change. I learned my biggest lesson on that with Bob. You see, for 20 years, I was always nervous getting on stage, performing, and I thought eventually it has to stop. But it didn't. It became harder and harder and harder. Sometimes I had to throw up before I went on stage. That is how much control that idea had over me. I wonder what they're thinking. And then I was invited by Bob Proctor to do my keynote on his stage. 500 people in the audience, 120 countries live streaming this thing. Was I nervous? Yes, I was very nervous. I was pale. I had nausea. I thought I was going to throw up again. He came up to me backstage and he goes, "You're nervous, aren't you?" I'm like, yeah. He slammed his hand on the table. He goes, "How dare you be nervous? That is so selfish. What you have to say is so valuable. Stop thinking about what you think they think of you. Start thinking better about yourself and start focusing on what you can leave them with. Focus on the receiver instead of yourself." In that moment, all the nervousness went away. It was like he had taken my head off, shook it around, and put it back on my body. And I went on stage and I had so much fun with it. For the first time in my life, I started thinking about the receiver. And in that process, my self-image grew. So if you find you have a hard time with that idea, I wonder what they think. Well, check their results. It's obvious they're not thinking. They're repeating an old pattern that they were given by their ancestors or their parents or whomever came before them. So self-image is a big part of this. You have to develop your self-image and your self-worth. And it's not arrogance. It's not about, I am the best in the world. That's not what it is. Let's look at the fourth pillar now to quantum leaping your results. And it's about sales. Sales is something that is so misunderstood. A lot of people have a lot of adverse reactions to it. We've all been met with mediocre salespeople. And so we have all these paradigms around sales. And that is why I think it's so hard for a lot of business owners that step out and do their own thing. Oh, I'm so great at service, but I hate selling. Well, how well does that idea serve you? If you're a business owner, you're a salesperson first. Before anything, sales is not pushing products down other people's throat. Sales is something you do for people if they have the need for what you have to offer. King Solomon, which I believe was one of the wisest kings in the world, he said, if you have something to offer to the world, it's your duty to sell it to as many people as possible. Nothing in this world would work if somebody hadn't sold something. Do you agree? We're being sold on ideas all day long. Nothing changes until somebody sells something. Well, there's a way to sell, which is ethically and morally right, in my opinion, and that is where you start with the needs of your customers and clients. When you start with their need and where they want to be, and you then match that need with what you have to offer, sales happens automatically. Here's the issue with most business owners. They have paradigms around sales. They believe that people look for price because you have been looking for price maybe for years. You've hyper focused on price and not value. That's why it's hard to sell for most people. They focus on the price. And because you have focused on that for your entirety of your career, you believe other people focus on it too. That's why it's so hard. We need to focus on return on investment instead. So as a business owner, and this ties back to self-image, why is it so hard for a lot of business owners to sell their services and whatever it is that they provide? It is so hard because they have not become their own ideal client. So when you become a happy, grateful buyer, guess what? You will attract happy, grateful buyers. What? Say that again, Anders. Okay. When you become your own ideal client and you buy with gratitude for the ideas that are going to be serving you, for the people that are going to be helping you to take your business and your whatever you want to the next level, when you're grateful for the services you receive, you will attract people who are grateful for the services you provide. It's such an easy equation and it's so missed at the same time. You have business owners that are holding back whenever they're being offered opportunities, and then they wonder why it's hard for them to sell. They have choked the energy flow in their life. If they were to just contribute to growth, look for opportunities, and happily embrace the opportunities that are being given to them, they would attract other people who would be so happy that they have provided the opportunity to them. It's so easy. It's so easy to understand, and it's so misunderstood at the same time. Look at most people's attitude around sales, and it becomes so obvious to you why they're struggling. So sales is the transference of emotion. It's something you do for people if they have the need, not something you do to people. The fifth pillar to actually creating the quantum leap that you deserve is to understand that selling more is not the key. It's selling more faster. That's the key. If you ask people, would you consider yourself a success if you earned $1 million? Most people say, well, yeah. Well, over how long of a time frame? If you said $1 million in 10 years, would that be considered success? Probably not. How about $1 million in a year? Well, a little bit better. How about $1 million in a month? Yeah, definitely. Or $1 million in a day. Could you do that? Absolutely. 100% you could. So now time is a factor. You don't have to earn more. You have to earn more faster. And there's an exponential growth strategy that I have used over the years that has benefited me greatly. And it's comprised of 4 steps. You need to get better at lead generation. You need to generate leads while you're sleeping. 2, you need to have a core offer that you can multiply yourself in, where you're not selling your time. My masterclass has been a core offer of mine for a long time. And that program is the same, whether there's 5 participants in it, 50 or 500. It's the same wonderful value that my clients get. Then you want to have a premium value offer where you're helping people at a higher level with more implementation. And there's a higher profit margin, and that is where your clients pays you more to help you generate results with them faster. And then you should have something that's subscription based, that is predictable revenue as well. It could be payment plans, it could be membership opportunities. We have both that generates us revenue while we're doing other things. So that will help you with exponential growth, and that's where your business really will take off to the next level. If you don't understand this and if you don't integrate this, you will fall into the trap of working harder, running faster, and nothing happens in that model other than you sending yourself to the grave a little too soon. And there's no reason for that. All right. Make sure you work from a higher value, and integrating these 5 keys will certainly help you get there. And also understand you're paying an enormous amount of ignorance tax right now. Most people say, well, what does it cost to do this? Well, what will it cost not to? Let's say you have a client who's generating right now $500,000 a year. I've had one, and she said, well, my goal is to earn $500,000 a month. And I said, great. That means you're going to turn your annual revenue from 500,000 to 6 million. Is that correct? And she said, yes. Back then, she was paying $5.5 million every year, not living that goal. What? I never thought of it that way, you say. Well, exactly. Most people don't think. You're not thinking about the ignorance tax you're paying right now by not knowing, by not having the right support, by not having the right mentorship or the right mastermind group or whatever around you that actually can help you spot those blind angles. The ignorance tax I know I'm paying is tremendous. That's why I always make sure I have mentors, coaches in my corner that can see things I cannot see. So if you feel you lack motivation, sit down and calculate the ignorance tax. And the ignorance tax is the difference between where you are and where you truly want to be. That is the tax you're paying every year by not living your goal. Most people, when you ask them, what are your 2 greatest expenses in life? They say, well, it's taxes, it's kids, it's the house. Taxes is the second biggest. The biggest expense you will ever have in your life is ignorance. It's people missing the mark, missing their goals, not living their potential. It's all ignorance. It comes back to the exact same thing. And lastly, it's not who you are that holds you back from anything you want in your life. Truly, what is holding most people and most business owners back from what they want is all the illusions of who they think they're not. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have linked to a couple more right here that I think you would like. Now, until next time, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's all the illusions of who you think you're not. This is Hansen. Thank you.